We've been walking for hours. We've got to quicken our pace. The Lich King is defenseless without us.
I left many of my warriors at Icecrown before I came to find you, Death Knight. They will hold the line for as long as they are able.
Tell me, where are all of your people? Shouldn't there be Nerubians around here, undead or otherwise?
I've been wondering about that myself. Something must have driven them all off.
We did, you rotting bastards. We've been watching you all along.
Muradin's dwarves. Impossible. Doesn't anyone stay dead anymore?
We've been wandering this forsaken land ever since you killed Muradin and left us to rot Arthas. Our leader, Baelgun, led us into the ruined city to survive. But there's no way we're letting you in.
We have no time for these games. Saphiron, attack! Well done, mighty Saphiron. I wish we could take you with us, but the confines of the Dark Earth are no place for you.
The Lich King's time is running short. We must hurry.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne. The next series of missions that we are entering into all take place in the ancient subterranean Nerubian kingdom of Azjol-Nerub.
No one orders me.
This place is filled with a lot of traps, a lot of cool little mechanisms like this. That's how a lot of the gameplay in here is. It's a lot of dungeon crawling. For a couple of short interconnected missions. And you know what else Azjol-Nerub is full of? Oh, this is one of my favorite parts of the game.
Send off the charges! Blow the bridge before they get across!
No! Stop them before they...
That was for Muradin. Now you'll never get across.
There are other passages through a labyrinth, Death Knight. We will find another way.
Speak, fool. Now, Frostman.
Azjol-Nerub is also full of Dave about to talk about some lore. Yeah, welcome back to the lore corner. You cannot stop me. You cannot stop me from talking about all the dumb, but also kind of secretly pretty cool lore that doesn't make any sense, but whatever, it's so radical. Let's talk about some old gods. Yeah, the old gods. Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron, N'Zoth, Y'Shaarj. Warcraft has its own pantheon of ancient psychic eldritch horrors based on the mythos, of course, of H.P. Lovecraft. So you know right away this is my jam. The old gods are parasitic, godlike life forms that attach themselves to planets that they come across and leech off of them. They're like mountainous, amorphous psychic beings. Cthulhu, the part of him that you see in WoW, is just... He's this hill of flesh with one giant lidless eye. Yogg-Saron, very similar in shape, just a mountain, covered in mouths.
Why are they hostile to us?
Many of us who fell during the War of the Spider were brought back to serve the Lich King. These warriors, however, never died. Foolishly, they still fight to liberate Nerub from the Scourge.
So those four that I mentioned, they showed up on Azeroth before the Titans arrived to shape life on this planet, when the only sentient beings were primal elementals like, fire, earth, water, wind elementals, ruled by beings you may have heard of from WoW, like Ragnaros and Alakir and Neptulon and Therazane, I think is the other one?
Passage somewhere. We Nerubians were crafty engineers in our time.
You're so cool, Anubarak.
This is more.
Love learning about Azjol-Nerub.
Ancient Nerubian hoarding cell. We kept most of our treasures hidden in chambers like this. The passage to the lower depths lies just beyond this room.
So we have to hit this
Great.
lever first, then
As
we
long
can
as
step on the
we're
pressure
here,
plate.
We can take some of these items with us. Lightly. Finally.
Yeah, so
Your pain shall be
the first life on Azeroth were just elementals, then the old gods showed up, and they immediately took over. They took all of the turf from the elemental lords, and they divvied the land up amongst themselves, and then they went to war amongst each other. In the period where Azeroth was ruled over by the old gods, this is so cool, it was called the Black Empire. Like, look at Cthulhu here, I'm gonna post a picture. Look at him at the height of his power. The immensity of him. So by the time the Titans arrive on Azeroth, they find it infested, and civil war is being waged between the old gods.
Treasure belongs to the Lich King.
One of the Titans was literally ripping an old god off the planet. Yasharj, or Yasharaj, however you want to pronounce it. Rips him off the planet, plucks him off of it. Notice in this picture that I'm going to post, Yasharaj's territory. It's right over the area that we today know as the Maelstrom. It's center mass on the globe. So forcibly excising Yasharaj like a tick caused irreparable global damage. That's how deeply rooted these parasitic old ones are. So the Titan said, okay, we cannot kill them or remove them. That will be cataclysmic. But maybe we can contain them. So they waged a brutal war against their armies, their converts, their slaves, and then chained them deep beneath the world, weakened. And remember, the Titans became interested in Azeroth in the first place because of its world soul. That thing that we talked about a whole while back that some planets have, which is a literal soul
This is more like
buried in a planet that births a new Titan when it eventually matures. Well, consequently, the old gods are tied to that whole thing too. The world souls, that is.
Slay 'em all!
The old gods were created by beings called Void Lords, which are beings from a place literally outside the bounds of the physical universe, a place aptly named the Void. They are like anti-Titans.
Anything that shuffles
They
or
hate the
snickers.
Titans, so their whole jam is the idea of corrupting a world soul eventually and birthing an evil Titan to serve them. So their whole plan is to scatter massive numbers of old gods across the cosmos, scatter them like seeds, and hope that they land on and infest just a few planets with a world soul. Just throwing masses of darts and hoping one of them hits a bullseye.
no one orders me around.
And they hope that they land on a planet with a world soul so that the old gods can then corrupt that world soul. It's so dumb but so cool.
This with us.
Also, I really love how even in an RTS, there is something valuable behind a waterfall.
This is more like it.
I remember you, evil prince. You're the one that killed poor Muradin.
Get over it already.
I won't let you through this door, traitor. The recent quakes have awakened dark things under the ice. Ancient, horrid things. We vowed to keep them locked where they are.
We'll take our chances, dwarf. We're going through that door one way or another.
Yeah, dark, ancient, horrid things have been awakened in this subterranean Spider-Man kingdom. That just, if you look at that map that I posted earlier, that I hope I remember to put on screen,
Frostborn.
that's suspiciously, like, all of Northrend seems to be where Yogg-Saron's old territory was. So the four old gods, they flung across the universe, landed on Azeroth. Some of them landed on a no-name planet in the middle of nowhere. A couple of these old gods. And it indeed had a world soul. Sargeras, the Titan, came across... This is pre-Burning Legion, by the way. Sargeras came across this planet, saw the old gods growing out of control, going to town on this world soul, and said, "This cannot stand." I'm gonna have to be continue this story.
Something doesn't feel right.
If the dwarf's story was true, there's no telling what awaits us in the darkness. This stairwell leads into the heart of the old Nerubian Empire. We must be cautious.
By all means, you first.
The Forgotten Ones!
We have entered the old kingdom. Be wary, Death Knight. Whatever scared the dwarves still lurks down here somewhere.
Alright, so,
Speak.
again, some nameless planet out in the middle of nowhere. Pre-Crisis Sargeras comes across it.
Wait. The towers on either side are rigged to fire bolts of frost. This hallway is a death.
Alright, yeah, hit the mechanisms,
Disable them.
sink the towers.
In the far wall is an aqueduct plug. If we can open it, the water might flood the firing mechanisms and disable the entire trap.
Gold. We should take this with us.
Yeah, it's this planet in the middle of nowhere has a world soul, coincidentally, but it's also one of the few planets with a world soul that actually has a couple of old gods that managed to land on it. So it's being infested. They're going to town on this thing. Sargeras goes, no, cannot let this happen. And he cleaves the planet in half. And do not think that I'm being hyperbolic about the scale here. Here's Sargeras
For the Lich King.
stabbing a planet from the end cinematic of World of Warcraft Legion.
Now, that's done it. Let's move.
That's where Sargeras gets the idea to create the Burning Legion. That's the genesis of the Legion right there. You can trace all this back to the old gods and the Void Lords and the World Souls and all this stupid but kind of cool stuff. He wants to extinguish all life on all planets with World Souls so no corrupt Titan can ever be born and controlled by the Void Lords. Yeah, that sentence is just wow.
Traitor King,
I mean, it's wow, but it's also wow.
referring to me, Death Knight. These Nerubians will stop at nothing to destroy us.
Frostmourne.
That is the excuse given in extended universe and WoW lore for why Sargeras creates the Burning Legion, and that's where the disconnect comes from because of how clearly just straight evil he is, and the demons and the whole Legion.
At last.
You cannot go on with, like,
The rebel spiders captured my comrades as well. They're being held in a nearby chamber. Release them, and they will be yours to command.
you cannot just be like, oh, he has a good reason to do what he does, or he thinks he's serving the greater good. When he and all of the demons just delight in murder and torture and agony, they love it so much. They are not doing it for the greater good. That's such a silly-ass retcon. Like, I don't think anyone was begging for a deeper motivation for Sargeras and the Burning Legion. Like, they were just cartoon greater than a bit larger than life evil. Also, that belt of giant strength +6 in the center is a trap. It's over a pressure plate that floods the room with enemies. Anyway, that's why the old gods exist and the Burning Legion exists. By the way, you know what other planet has a world soul? Argus, which we've talked about before. The homeworld of the Draenei, home of Archimonde and Kil'jaeden.
Tread lightly.
I think we're about to get... Oh no, it's a few rooms from now, I believe. Okay, so we have time to finish this point. Sargeras saw that it had a world soul, but no old gods infesting it. And he nurtured that planet. He set up shop there. He nurtured it with some demon fell bullshit. And as of the current WoW expansion, it has given birth to a new titan under Sargeras' influence. This titan, the world soul of the planet Argus, is the final boss of World of Warcraft Legion. It is Argus the Unmaker.
You were right.
It's so dumb, I love it.
We've got to destroy the breeding pods.
We could also seal the doors to shut the hatchlings in.
Yeah, we already sealed those doors. By the way, if you're familiar with Dota All-Stars or Dota 2, Locust Swarm is just Death Prophet's exorcism. It sends out a bunch of sustained locusts that swarm all around him, attack anything that gets near, and then eventually they return to him and heal him. But yeah, Argus the Unmaker, we travel across the universe to murder a newborn titan who sprang fully formed from the soul of a planet controlled by genocidal demons. It's so metal, it's so dumb, I love it. I used to think WoW lore was just really awful and stupid and I hated it, but now I think it's really awful and stupid and there are parts of it that I fucking love. Especially when you get to this bigger picture, really you start going off the walls with the intergalactic nonsense. And you start introducing world souls and more old god lore and the titans and world souls again. And void lords. It loops back around to actually being kind of fun and zany. And like not very well written or cohesive or it doesn't introduce super compelling characters and it kind of ruins a lot of characters that were already existing and compelling, but man, it's fun.
Speak, fool. Frostborn hungers. Finally.
Back to the old gods again, real quick though. Just one more aside about them. Again, as of WoW, we have defeated a weakened Cthulhu and Yogg-Saron, who may or may not be dead.
They are the horrors the dwarves spoke of. I thought they were only legends.
What?
They are the faceless ones.
Yeah, faceless ones! But according to the game's own lore, they shouldn't be dead because it would be so disfiguringly damaging to the planet. Like ripping Y'Shaarj off the planet cause irreparable, calamity.
My might cannot be matched.
So, not sure if Yogg-Saron and Cthulhu are supposed to be canonically dead or just disabled and further weakened, but N'Zoth is still around and is poised to be the boss of the upcoming expansion, which I'm very excited about because it's an old god expansion and I love the fucking old god lore. Because even if none of this was as radical as it sounds, as radical and dumb as it sounds, I'm still just a huge fan of the aesthetic of this horror, if nothing else. Oh, can we get that one in time? Yes, we did save that Crypt Fiend.
Speak.
And we're marching into the end of this mission with a lot left over, so it should not be that bad. Oh, even one more Crypt Fiend here. Yeah, N'Zoth, who drove Ashara mad and created the Naga, and N'Zoth, who drove Deathwing mad and lives in a drowned sunken city that's basically R'lyeh.
It cannot be. A forgotten one. Look to your defenses, Death Knights. Fight as you've never fought before.
So that is like a pustule of an old god. That is a part of Yogg-Saron. That is a small, insignificant part of him. This forgotten one. That is the final boss of this mission. The old gods are basically these toothy, amorphous, giant piles of flesh, except like 100 feet tall.
For the Lich King.
We cannot take them all. Hurry, Death Knight. Up the stairwell. Hurry.
We're running out of time, Anubarak. How far are we from the exit?
Not far. We have entered the Upper Kingdom. The exit should lead us to the base of the glacier itself. However, there are still hidden traps and pitfalls to account for.
Take cover!
Yes.
The entire passage collapsed. There's no time to dig through this. I'll have to move quickly and find my own way out. Hopefully Anubarak and the others survived. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. This is more.
This is a fun mission, just because we're controlling such a severely depowered Arthas at this point. We have dropped so many levels over the course of this campaign. And this is Arthas alone, navigating kind of a lot of puzzle-type areas. So for each second you're in the blue fire, you take 200 damage. That can rack up pretty quick, but the fact that we took a bunch of damage doesn't actually matter because we got that potion, which we need to use anyway to make space for the Claws of Attack plus 15 that we get here. So it's all well calculated. Also, we only have a limited amount of time to get out of here before the cavern in the Old Kingdom collapses. I love that. I love the aesthetic of all of it. Azjol-Nerub and the Lower Kingdom and the Old Kingdom of Ankahet.
This is more like
It's so very, very deeply good to me. I was enthralled. I was enraptured by all this down here when I was a kid, and that's without all the stuff that I just diarrhea of the mouth about for like 20 minutes. That's without all that supplemental cool lore. Like I think the furthest that the game itself goes beyond just showing you the faceless ones and the forgotten one and all of this, kind of whetting your appetite, but never really going any further than this to explain what is going on down here, just teasing you with this, is a couple of little tidbits in the manual. Like, in the manual for Warcraft 3, they mentioned that 5 old gods were imprisoned beneath the planet, and there's very little to go on aside from that. So it's more like all this is contained in novels and comics and, like, quest texts and shit in World of Warcraft.
this is more at last. Frostborn hunger.
But just the tease of this, the thought of this, when I was, I don't know, 12 years old, playing all this for the first time and just getting this hint of all of this that was going on, under the surface, literally under the surface, we are underground.
This is more like it.
I was so
Finally.
intrigued. Like, it lit my imagination on fire. Oh, he just barely got it back out into the fog of war again when I backed up onto the bridge. Azjol-Nerub is just one of my favorite parts of the game, so I'm so happy we're finally here. And unfortunately, the Shadow Web Caverns missions that comprise our journey through Azjol-Nerub, they are the penultimate series of missions in the game. There's one single mission left after this one. And then that's it for our journey through Warcraft 3, unfortunately. Oh, so we're coming up on bittersweet times. I've been immensely satisfied with how this turned out.
Frostborn hungers. I must find a way across this strange obstacle.
Yeah, this strange obstacle is just a series of platforms that move between 3 positions, which is beneath the water, level with the ground, or raised above the ground level.
This is more like it.
And it becomes sort of a maze that we have to navigate.
At last.
And on this maze are a couple of faceless ones and even a few
Finally.
really quite nasty crabs. Not sure if I want to go all the way down and then across.
More like it. At last.
The mana rune is actually really useful here. Not sure if it'll be worth the time to go out of the way to get it.
This is more like it.
Oh no. We're good. That's a greater healing.
This is more
Bah.
like it.
Actually not that useful because we still have a point in Unholy Aura.
Finally. Frostmourne.
Go to the right now.
You will know
Then, is it the bottom right that we're... Oh no, we're just going all the way to the right. I don't think it matters necessarily. Unfortunately, that fell before we could get to the right, so we just have to wait for it to raise again. The only thing that this really serves to do, yeah, is burn some of that time down. So we have 5 minutes left to complete this. Is this not level with the ground? I can't get over there. Oh, wait, I feel dumb. It was finally at the right level.
Anubarak, you made it.
I see now why the Lich King chose you as his champion of night. Few men could have survived this labyrinth alone.
I mean, it's not that bad of a labyrinth.
At last.
You could be the Lich King's champion in Nubarak. You're pretty cool.
Another earthquake. We must hurry, Death Knight.
Something's breaking through. Defensive positions.
So now that we have a Nubarak and a couple of Cryptines back. Oh wow, we really have to hardcore keep Arthas alive here. He's not doing so well after all this. He was doing fine up until now. We have to really carefully micro him to keep him mostly out of harm's way. Don't want a Nubarak there. Yeah, stop turning on Arthas.
At last. Speak, fool. What is it?
So we just have a couple of all-out fights and then a mad dash to get out of the cavern to the base of Ice Crown Glacier. 3 minutes to do all that, which is plenty, I think.
I serve only
Oh,
the frozen
gotta get a move on though.
We're running out of time. We must find the exit.
This mission's great.
They're blocking the way to the exit. We'll have to fight our way through them to reach it.
So we have these. Locust Swarm will get us through this, and then it'll still be active by the time we get to the big boys in the back,
Your pain sufficient.
who are, I think, the final couple of enemies of the mission. Let's move them in. Arthas should be doing fine. We do not want him up front tanking all 3 enemies, though.
At last.
We cast Frenzy on him. This is okay. Arthas is just fully on support duty.
My might cannot be matched.
No one.
While Nubarak is up here frontlining like the coolest dude. The coolest boy.
What is it now? Finally. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers.
Now quickly, head through that door. The exit to the surface lies just beyond.
It'll be good to see the sun again.
Remember, Illidan and the true battle still await us in the world above. Hopefully our trek through the dark earth bought us the precious time we needed.
We've made it, Anubarak. Our forces are already assembled and waiting.
Greetings, King Arthas. You've arrived just in time. Illidan's Naga and Blood Elf forces have taken up positions at the base of the glacier and...
Arthas, my champion. You have come at last.
Master?
There is a fracture in my prison, the frozen throne, and my energies are seeping from it. That is why your powers have diminished.
But how?
The rune-laid Frostlaw was once locked inside the throne as well. I thrust it from the ice, so that it would find its way to you, and then lead you to me. And so it has. Now, we face a grave danger. My creator, the Demon Lord Kil'jaeden, sent his agents here to destroy me. If they should reach the frozen throne before you, all will be lost. The scourge will be undone. Now hurry. I will grant you all the power I can spare.
I saw another vision of the Lich King. He has restored my powers. I know now what I must do. It's time to end the game. Once and for all.
All right. Next time, we will finish the game. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Have a good one.